knowing where your product can be viral. And this is really important to us specifically because, we're not a naturally viral product, and a lot of products I think aren't. We're not a draw something or an Instagram where it naturally makes sense that you want your friends on it, and because it makes the whole thing more fun. We're almost the opposite. We're a personal thing, right? People don't really want to share these things. I mean, going to the Mint are the same thing. It's your personal finances. That's really, really private. So just because you're not inherently viral, which a lot of products aren't, and that's something we had to grapple with, people will always share an interesting experience. For us, we found that meant a couple of things. People like to brag about accomplishments. So empowering people to do that. There's certain things in our system that people would be happy about. When something improves, or really encouraging them when something happens, allowing them to share it, even though it's not part of the process, you let them do that. Second thing is people want to do what their friends do. One of the things we've noticed is, this is an example of a Brandyourself profile you can build it. Ours are lucky, they show up high in Google, so someone Googles this person, they find this. And as a paying user, you can get rid of that little thing. But as a free user, you have to have that. A lot of people not only click through here, they pay at the most ridiculous. I mean, they're some of our best traffic coming from these profiles right here. Now, when we realized that, that's when we added that little strip, and it made a huge, huge difference. So you got to find out where your things are, and it could be a variety of different things. A Dropbox, they do that thing. If anyone here uses Dropbox, they do a thing where you get more free space if you join a friend, and they're really clever because you don't feel skeezy about it because you're giving them something free. You're not just saying, please sign up so I get something for free. Sometimes it's incentives. Sometimes when we found incentives don't even have to be financial. Sometimes financial incentives aren't the best for your company, or free things aren't the best. For us, letting them, talk about a customer experience. It almost goes to like you ever talk to a local business owner, and they'll notice a difference between actually asking directly for referrals instead of assuming it, and someone just never, oh yeah, like if you say, if you could do me a favor, if you just tell 5 of your friends, and then like, yeah, that's a great idea, I can help you, and they'll actually, otherwise they just never would have thought of it. The same thing applies to the software. We did a little experiment, it's really interesting. We tried something, like if you share it, 5 people will you get like a premium account for a month. Didn't do really well. Then we just started saying, if you go to our site, on the back it just says, hey, you're awesome for being our user, so we try to be awesome back. And I'll get into customer service. Share us, that's how we grow. Crazy. People share us all the time. Just asking them. Just saying that, so you really got to experiment what works. It could be financial incentives. It could be social courtesy, just saying, hey, you love our product, do us a favor. And that could be enough. Or it could be, again, you're lucky if you're like a Skype, it's just you invite your friends and you don't have to call them on the phone, so that's nice. So there's some things that have natural things. So finally, have a great product. None of this.
Got to start with that one.
None of this matters, but be surprised. A lot of people struggle with that part, not because their products can't be great, but because it's their first time. It's really easy to build a mediocre product, even if it has a potential.
How do you define a great product?
What'd you say?
How do you define a great product?
I'm biased on this. I say solve a problem. Now it's really, it's really, really kind of appealing to be Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. You're creating these wants, right? These things that people didn't necessarily know they want. It's like the old Henry Ford quote: "Is like if I did what people wanted, I would have built a faster horse." But that's really, really hard to do. And while they're really popular, I've always taken to solve very specific problems, solve very real problems. I've always joked to our investors that I'm more TurboTax than we are Facebook. We found a problem people had. We figured out people really care about it. People are going to pay for it. Looks like there's a lot of them, and it looks like we can get to them cheaper than it costs us. So that sounds like it's a business. For us, it was easy. 1 billion names are Googled every day. 75% of HR departments are required to search you. The problem with our market is most people don't look that great. They fall into one of 3 categories: the negative category, the irrelevant category, and the hey, that's not me category. So ours is really simple. It's a problem a lot of people had. But the second, now that gives you a good product. It's not great yet. Solve a specific problem. And what I mean by that is, this is when I built the first version of our product, I took a really high level mission. Again, it was like that kind of thing I was talking about before. It was put your best foot forward on the web. And I started, oh my God, it could be everything. And we were manage your entire online reputation, own your Google results, track your digital breadcrumbs, we'll find everything about you, create effective social media profiles, because that's really important too, right? Get more fans and followers, figure out how to blog. We were doing all of this. We were doing some of these things before companies like Cloudwork, but the problem we learned is it's better to be amazing at one thing, the best at one thing, than it is to be pretty good at lots of things. And here's literally an old version of one of the first products I developed while we were doing this. This was like a Hootsuite. If you clicked here, based on your interest, it would give you all these articles on there. You could share them automatically with your networks. If you clicked who to follow, it would tell you. You could still build your site. You could still do your search results. We'd also give you these stats, and we'd tell you who you were talking to. We were just doing way too much, and it was just that no one knew what they came. It's bad for brand. It's like, I don't know, I use Brandyourself. The trick I've learned is, because I see a lot of people doing this, because it's really, really hard not to, especially when you're young and excited and think you can do everything, and you haven't really understood how the market works. Put all of your competitors on one page. This was, if any of them don't compete with each other, you're probably doing too much. And what I mean by that is you're saying, look, you could use us instead of Hootsuite, and you could use it instead of Clout, and you could use it instead of Reputation.com. None of those three people compete with each other. So it doesn't make sense that our business is doing all three of those. And a lot of people say, I do not accept that the value proposition is, well, the difference between us is we do all of them. Because people don't want to go to one place, they go to different places for different reasons. It's very, very rare. Again, take all this with a grain of salt. This is my own personal, limited opinion. But anyways, solve a specific problem. Now for this. One. And we do better than anything out there, and we're getting better and better. That's all we care about. That's a problem we knew people cared about. Again, people are willing to pay for, that a lot of people have. Other things that have worked for us. So that was kind of the story of that really big push. But what are other things that we have found that have attracted users and signed people up? One is, you can't always get a feature story, right? But we knew press converted so well. What we've learned is we did a good job. We convert 30% of traffic. So the best way to get in front of a lot of people at once, because that's all we need to do, is big publications. So this was literally just yesterday. We released, we just create stuff that people want to write about all the time. And two more are written today that I just didn't add to the presentation. That's Rewrite Web and that's CNAP. And both pretty big publications. And
do you know how well press converts versus other sources of traffic and even specific publications?
For us, it's more. For us, press converts generally at a 30+ rate. It's our best source. The reason is people read about it, seems interesting, and they want to go check it out. Huffington Post, Mashable, Lifehacker, those are really, really good for us. But they're all really good. I mean, we're talking marginal differences at this point. Press is great. That's why, because that worked for us, I started thinking, how do I get press even if there's nothing to write about us specifically? Because you already wrote about our feature, you already wrote about our product. So we did a study with Harris Interactive. I worked something out with them. We did a whole big thing and explored, how do people Google other people? What does it mean? And we found out young people Google dates and it affects it. Ex-girlfriends and boyfriends are the biggest Google search. People Google politicians, we found, or employer. It was this really big study we released and then just pitched it. And how Googling affects others, voting, hiring. A new study confirms, and you'll say, you'll see our logo in there because we sponsored the study, and if you link to it, it has easy way to get people to know about you. We release infographics. Here's something we got on Lifehack when I released it. This was a little while ago. Basically, we took all of our data. We found what's an interesting thing we can do with our data, and we found we're tracking 150 million Google results for hundreds of thousands of people. So what we did was we saw, how do people look? People between 18 and 30 usually have at least one negative thing on the first page, according to our data. All stuff like that. We were able to say, not all profiles are created equal. If you're creating a personal website, ours show that WordPress generally shows up higher than Tumblr. We had data like that, create an infographic and pitch it to the right publication and then cover it. We do topical things. We had how to Google over the top. Mashable covered this. I think a few gossip ones actually covered this. And we basically showed, after the Olympics and all the hype goes down, what's going to remain? Will Phelps be the pothead or the best Olympian? Will Lochte be the idiot or the second best? Well, there's all these stuff. So we just create content that people are willing to write about. It's an easy way. Again, since we identified that as a good source, we really focused on getting it. Share in relevant places, what he was talking about. Sometimes I'll write a personal blog post, this one about this, trended on Hacker News for a while. That sent us probably like 70,000 people, not signups, traffic, and that converted. So just create. That was something that has worked for us. Here's a little thing: how to keep an article trending. We learned one thing. We learned that an article just getting written in a Mashable or something like that is okay, but if you get prime real estate for a long period of time in their trending section, that's usually the top of the page, above the fold, it makes not just a little difference, an exponential difference. So the question becomes, well, how do we ensure? It's all based on making sure a lot of people are popularize it. So one thing, this one isn't exactly free, it costs a little bit of money, but it's very cheap. If you get an article out, promote it on StumbleUpon. They have a great program. All that does is just puts it in front of more people with the same interest. If they don't like it, they don't, but generally speaking, it's a good article, so they will. You start getting lots of more likes, lots of more tweets. It stays so you get more of that, it stays up on the page longer, it leads to more likes, to more tweets, and then you kind of keep it up there. So that's, when you get an article, the first thing you have, we have a campaign ready to go, and you spend $200, and you usually can get yourself to stay on the first page because you're just driving that much more relevant views to it.
Can you actually say, is it determined by the people writing, or there's...
No, it's determined by, once an article, so you can't control, which is sometimes annoying, when they publish it necessarily, but once it's live, the algorithm is usually you want to, it's just generally what's most popular right now, they measure that on how many shares it's getting. So you can, when you do that thing, you can run that as soon as you want to. As soon as you find out it's published, it's instantaneous. That's why StumbleUpon's the best one to do it. It's the cheapest, it's really effective, they're really good at targeting, really underrated platform for advertising.
Can you tell me more about what you mean by campaign ready?
Real quick. So if you have a question, let's do it so that you just say your first name and maybe the name of your company. So just to kind of start things off, maybe you can start things off.
Nomad. So that's my name.
Nomad.
Still in stealth mode, sort of.
Cool.
So,
Sounds good.
When you said you have an article featured and then you have a campaign ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
what do you?
So by campaign, what a StumbleUpon actually has, so what I see, that's actually very cool. StumbleUpon actually has an advertising platform where very cheaply you can say, okay, this, whatever it is, and they'll pass it through really quick. But if it's a real publication, it's generally not spam. So you pay per stumble. Like they'll give it to, it's called a promoted stumble. So when people are stumbling, which is how Stumble works. StumbleUpon, for those of you who don't know, it's a place where a lot of people use it. It just like takes you to a random website based on things you said you're interested in. So it's a way to surf the web. So it just basically prioritizes that you're paying per stumble, but they have a model where it's actually really cheap. And by doing that, you get a little extra boost because you can say this is really good for people interested in social media, the web, consumer internet, whatever. They see the article, like, oh, this is cool, sweet. And then you're just kind of helping more. You're basically sending traffic to Mashable, really relevant traffic, but it helps you because it's sending it to your specific article, which keeps it in the trending section. First, you got to create an account though. So before, it's not, you have to actually have an account, but it's really easy to set up. Biz dev deals. So one of the things we realized is we've tested a lot of markets. We know that we have a really broad value proposition. It's something everybody should be doing. Job applicants love us, makes sense. Employers are Googling now. Real estate agents love us. But finding other companies that already do a good job that aren't competing with your markets once you identify them is another way to kind of get in front of a lot of them, and you just want to go through that process. For example, Disconnect. This is going this week. We just do a little deal like this, where they send out a link to their users, and we say, "Welcome, Disconnect users. It's time." Very, very simple to do. For those of you who don't know, Disconnect's pretty cool. It helps you see who's tracking you online. They have a lot of people who really care about online privacy and online identity, which obviously those are the same people who care about what shows up on them in Google. So it is made. And then finally, all right. Customer service is the most underrated marketing channel, especially with consumer web products.
Craig Calder, Calder.com marketing consultant. I have to give you kudos because I signed up knowing that it was coming here. And I got that email immediately on so-and-so, your personal, customer service. I just went, holy shit. That was like one of the most amazing customer service I've ever experienced.
So you describe it. Maybe
He gave me his personal phone number, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. This guy.
Actually, you know what? So how do you do that? Because that's what creates passionate people, and it also, because we're a new product, there's a lot we're going to do to improve the product tenfold. But the way you create it is really good customer service. So going into that, answer the phone. People will, seriously, anybody call this number right now, somebody will answer. Anybody call this number right now, you put up speak, someone will answer that. You don't have to, but
In the US?
Yeah.
someone within a mile from here will answer the phone and answer any questions you want. Anything, even if we get really funny ones, but that's someone's job, you know?
How many calls do you get? Is that?
We get a lot. You know what I remember when we first launched, we didn't have people dedicated for this. And it used to be my number. It was just actually my cell phone number. And I was like, first it was cool to get a couple. Then I started getting calls at 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And that's when we started saying, okay, we have to figure out a way to not have my phone ring all the time. And my cell phone bill went through the roof. But
Google Voice?
yeah, now we just have a whole system. I mean, it's relatively sophisticated now. But call that number anytime. Someone will answer. Someone will answer right now. And if someone doesn't answer because it's late, it just tells you we'll call you right back in the morning. We'll answer questions. We'll give you tips. We'll help walk you through anything. That's one way. You know, Pete, it's refreshing. We have our number all over the site. We email you right away. It says if you have any questions, give us a call. Send personable emails. So besides that, we have an intern who literally, who goes to people who pay and just sends them funny things. Like one says she wanted to let them know that they rock.
Oh.
These are not like I'm saying everybody should go create jib jabs for all their customers. I'm saying do little things like once in a while if you have a chance, have an intern whose job is just, again, my main point is that communicating directly with customers in fun, important, and creative ways. And you get an intern to do it, and it doesn't have to be a scalable thing where you do, if one person can't do it, just do it for whoever you can do it for. It's a free way to just like talk to people and get them excited. You know, other things we do is we hold weekly webinars. We figured there's no better way to scale personal demos. We'll give anybody a personal demo, and then we started saying, that works really well. How do we do more of them at once? So every week it's called Webinar Wednesdays. We go in and we do a demo, screen share, anyone can sign up. We have sometimes about 50 people at once, sometimes we have one person at once. But he goes, we ask any questions, and they become really, they really appreciate it. Another thing we do is meet up in person if you can. You know, sometimes we'll just say, come join us for a drink. You know, last one, we just sent out an email to New York people. We ended up having like 50-something people show up. People, you know, just try to spend time with your users, learn about it, and just be really personable. Sometimes do something special. So when we reached our 10,000th user, we interviewed him. I actually surprised him on my way. I stopped in Chicago on a flight, on a layover, brought him that trophy in a bag of his homemade cookies. We videotaped it. He got really excited. So once in a while, just do something special. You know, the whole reason we did that was I used to say, we really want to be customer centric, and so we want to put our money where our mouth is. So when we reached our 10,000th user, I said, I should go see him and like give him a trophy. So we did it.